Hi, I'm Alane Paulley, the host of The Energy Exchange, and today we're going to eat some butterkuchen and meet Christine Rogers, the owner of M3 Learning, and hear all of her amazing stories about sales, success, and parenting. Christine, this is what I want. I have so much to ask you.
Oh, okay.
And I want to start with saying I did no research.
Okay.
I did not do any deep diving because I want to know everything from you.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask questions that you may think I should know, but I didn't do any research.
Okay,
I
great.
just want to be curious and see how things go, but I also want to share something with you. So my family is German-American, super German-American. We do things like hide a pickle in the tree at Christmas time.
Yes.
Both sides of my family are German, my mom's and my dad's. And one of the things that we always ate on Sundays was a butterkuchen. Okay. Have you ever had a butterkuchen?
No, and I've been staring at it since you put it down.
Okay, can I put some on a plate for you?
Yeah, you can. I'm excited.
And it is the best.
Okay, all right.
And they used to make them at my church.
It looks very loose.
Loose.
Like it's got just for those.
It's like, it's creamy.
It looks okay. It kind of has a look of like when you first put it down, I thought, is this some sort of large Danish? But then when you cut it, it kind of went all over. It went all over.
It just pours out.
Mm-hmm. So
this was my childhood. The reason that I would get excited about Sundays was not the 3.5 hours of church.
Yeah.
It was the butterkuchen that we bought every day. There was a nice family that made these and sold these in the rectory after church. And if I was good during the week, my mom would buy one and I would eat half of it. Oh. So I want you to try it.
Half of it that's this big.
Yeah, I ate an entire one yesterday.
Woo. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm excited plus nervous, which I think is a good combination.
It's good. I know. It's so good.
Okay. I'm trying to think how to describe this.
Okay. Give it to me.
It has the consistency of almost like a little, oh my gosh, almost like pecan pie. It has a pecan pie, if it were a loose pecan pie, the filling of a pecan pie, I feel like. Is that right? Because it's very sugary, like that same feeling. But you can really, almost like a croissant-like crust, and then the butter really comes through.
Butter and sugar, and it is. I don't really know the recipe. I've never attempted to make one. I just know that.
No,
they're
why
delicious.
would you ever? If you can buy this, there's no need to ever try to make it.
It's called a butter.
No,
kuchen starts with a K. The kuchen. If you have miso, whatever, we're chewing. Sorry about that.
It's so good. It's so good.
Isn't it so good? Okay, so
it's so sweet, but it's got a lot of depth to it. Yeah.
And it's probably terrible for you. But long hair don't care. We only eat it on Sundays.
We're doing it.
Unless you eat 2 in a row this week. That's fine.
Yeah, they're delicious.
So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about you, your childhood. What do you have anything like this that is not necessarily a dessert, but is there any food that reminds you of home?
So my family, my mom is, her side of the family is Italian. And so I think sauce, really good sauce. And I found this little place by my house. My mom makes amazing sauce. And so a pasta sauce, a red sauce. Yeah, a red sauce. But it, you don't make it all the time because it takes forever. And everybody's sauce is a little different. My grandmom's was really kind of sweeter. I feel like my mom's was a little darker, and so everybody's is a little sweeter, but there's a lot of differences. So if I can find a good red sauce that I don't have to make, I'm really into it. And there's this little tiny place by my house that they are out of Chicago. And it's just this little pizza place. And you can go in and just buy sauce. And so I'll just go there probably once a week, once every other week, and go buy quarts of sauce.
Ship me some of that.
I will.
I
would. You know what? Yeah, you would. Oh, it's so good. And it doesn't even have meat in it. It's not even a meat sauce because then I add the meat. Yeah, if I want meat, I'll add meat. I use it for everything, but delicious, like finding good, delicious red sauce, I think just warms my heart.
So did your mom cook a lot growing up?
Yeah, we did. We cooked a lot. I cooked. I was like always one of those people that was like in the kitchen. Yeah, like doing the things, testing it out. I like to cook. And I don't love to be very focused on recipes.
Yeah.
So I'm much more like if I have a basic understanding of what we're trying to do, I'm like a little this, little that. I think that's the staple. Like if you're a good cook, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. And then it's like if it's really good, I'm like, shit, how did I do that?
Yeah.
I got to rewrite that down. I did it a little differently and I don't remember what I did, but man, this one was better. Yeah.
Yeah. I have friends who are like, you're keeping it a secret. I'm like, I'm not. I don't remember what I did and I'm trying to recreate it for you so that I can write it down because I am not gatekeeping any food recipes. No. I don't pretend that I know everything. No. So how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have one sister. Okay. She's 2 years younger than me. And I also have a half brother and he is he's more like the ages of my sons. So he's 23. So he came much later. So yeah, I have one and him. And then my son I have two sons, but my oldest is only 3 years younger than my brother. So that's always been kind of funny.
So who started the second family?
My dad.
Yes.
Yep. My dad started his second family. And so, yeah. And they don't live near us. They live up in Minnesota, my brother and my dad.
Is that where you're from or where are you from?
No, so we kind of moved all over when I was a kid. So went, it was pretty much back east until junior high. So moved around a lot just because my dad wasn't in the military. There was nothing like that. We just ended up moving around a lot and then moved to Arizona when I was in junior high. So then I've stayed there. So that's been kind of my home but my more formative years were on the East Coast, which is where
at?
So I lived in Virginia, a little bit in Delaware, Philly, and then we moved to Arizona, to Phoenix.
I just fell in love with Maine recently.
I know we said that last time. You love it. You love the Northeast. Yeah,
it's a problem, but you got to deal with those things.
It's a different vibe.
It's slower.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Well, I can see up there in that little rural. Yeah, in the rural. In general, I feel like I got my pace probably through my formative years of being on the East Coast because I do think the pace, like you look
in New York and stuff. Fast.
Well, just like in general, everybody's moving a little quicker.
Yep.
Arizona is very chill. Everybody's relaxed. Everything is, it feels more of like a California vibe. Mm-hmm. I remember moving out and, I was in junior high and thinking, everybody is extremely slow here. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm in a sitcom or something, where it would be like surfer dudes. I'm like, I don't understand
what is happening.
Yeah. And I was mystified by the walls around people's homes. So I had never seen, like a 6-foot wall around. And I'm like, everybody's got 6-foot walls around their homes in Arizona. This is the strangest thing I've ever seen.
Why do they do that?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a thing. Like,
no, but that is a thing. Everybody's got walls, not fences, walls around their home. So I now I'm so used to it. And I said something to my sons the other day about the walls, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, most places don't have, giant walls around everything. Yeah, but we do.
That's really interesting. So it's funny because a lot of people ask me if I'm from New York, because I talk really fast.
Yeah,
and I cuss a lot.
You have a pace.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. But, I think there is a pace to city life that's a little different. Okay, so you grew up, you moved around a lot. Yeah. Was your dad the breadwinner?
Both my parents worked. Okay. My dad was in nonprofit work most of my life, and my mom was a teacher for a long time. So they both worked. And, I had a very, I would say, traditional, I was raised extremely religiously when I was young.
What religion?
Then kind of evangelical Christian.
Yeah.
And then as we got older, a little bit more into large community churches types of things. And then, both of my parents, when they split, they really didn't stick with that. Yeah. So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, and I would say now they are like kind of on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, as far as a very, they were the type I was raised in such a way that it was kind of like the Bob Jones University type of strict Christianity where it was like, I think you hold hands when you're engaged type of thing. Okay. To now, like my dad a few years ago went to the Democratic National Convention in Minnesota. So, it was a big swing.
Shift.
Yeah, big swing. Probably, for me and my sister to deal with and process through. Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. At one point, my mom tried to convince us. We're Catholic, and
Sure.
she was very much like dinosaurs were not real.
Oh.
And we went through this whole phase of you know what I'm saying? She was Bible believer, you know?
Yeah.
And that was an interesting time. I also was not allowed to watch MTV because of Madonna.
When I was young, I could not watch Sesame Street if the music turned too rocky, they made me turn it down.
Oh
so when you think about how Sesame Street was good unless somebody on there was playing too much of rock music, and then we had to turn it down.
Have you ever asked them why the shift happened?
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations, about it over the years, and I think too, working through when you look at raising your own kids, I think that's really when it comes up a lot. Mm-hmm. Is when I started raising my sons, what do I want them? How do I want them to believe? And what do I want to instill in them? And I still want to have very strong values, but also not push them into something that they are then going to either rebel from or feel like they never had a chance to even think for themselves.
Yeah.
And so very recently, my oldest son he got more into church. He went and got baptized. I was very proud of him for having his own journey on that. And he did ask me, why didn't you guys make us go to church? And why didn't we do this? Almost on a little bit of I think he was a little disappointed that we hadn't done that. And then I just explained, through my life of having such a rigorous and tight, Sunday morning church, Sunday night church, Wednesday, Awanas, doing all the different things. And then, very spare the rod, spoil the child, very, I would say, strict beyond and very isolated as far as what was going on. We went to Christian school.
From your friends, your peers. It must have been much different.
Yeah, well, we went to Christian school. So that was, we were like that. Yeah. And then once we moved to Philadelphia was probably the more we started seeing this is because there was, even though we were at a Christian school there, it was more because it was dangerous to go to different schools, and at that time in the area we were in. And so when we, I think that became the first time where it was a little more obvious that, okay, there are some other things out there. And then when we moved to Arizona, we went to public school. There wasn't a Christian school or a religious school that we could go to that was close enough to where my parents were working and such. So we had to do that. So I think it was interesting, kind of going through that. And now when we had our sons, trying to determine what we wanted to do with them. So I think I asking my folks hey, why did you do that? For me, they have had to come through their own journeys of, this was the way we did things. And I think honestly, some of the time they don't remember the stuff that they did. Some of the stuff that was—
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, some of the stuff that was a little bit, I would say, harsh or traumatizing, or well, do you remember when you made me go get the switch off the tree so you could spank me in the church parking lot? Do you remember that?
That never happened.
And they're like, what? And it's those types of things where I think as parents too, oh my gosh, I hope my kids don't remember the reel of me being terrible.
Mine do.
But it is one of those things where I don't want to beat them over the head and be like, wow, why? But also I got it because that's the way they were raised, and kind of the situation they were in. So I think everybody's doing the best they can do. And
I think that's when we realize that our parents that our parents are people.
That's right.
Right? There becomes a point where you're like, oh, they're just people who are figuring it out. And I think I was watching this video the other night, and this guy was like, before you get married and you have kids, you need to figure out, understand how you're going to do all this and do this and this. I'm like, no, sometimes you just get pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just get pregnant.
That's right.
And you're in your early 20s and you're thinking, well, I didn't get to think about like what choices I'm going to make for my oldest. It was survival.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure she's going to have some really great stories. I told her, I was like, look, we're going to pay for therapy. Okay. So like whatever happened, like even if I don't remember it that way, and even if I don't think it should be traumatizing, you don't get to pick what's traumatizing.
It's true.
For somebody else.
True.
You don't get to pick what, because to somebody who's never, ever not flown first class. I watched a child, like a 15-year-old boy, throw a fit because he realized the other day that he wasn't in first class. And it was like the first time, and he losing it at the airport.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm thinking, this kid, because of everything they've done, they're going to have to go through therapy, and they've spoiled and rotten. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
to him, that might be a traumatizing moment. I don't get to judge. I am judging.
Isn't that interesting?
I am, but I, don't want to.
Yeah, I've always said to my sons, I'm trying to work it out. This is my hope, is that I'm not going to capital T traumatize you. It's just going to be a lot of little T's.
And you
I'm
want
going to little T traumatize you, probably a lot, but let me just...
A sprinkle of trauma is good.
I'm going to work on, let's not capital T traumatize you. And I've said that like in jest to them many times as they were growing up, like, listen, I understand this is a little T moment for you. We're having a little bit of a moment here. And this is probably really harsh when I am going to hold the boundary and you aren't going to get to go because this happened. And I know you're going to be very upset about this. And this will be something that you remember. But I unfortunately have to hold to this because nothing is more important to me than you being a good human. And trust me, I'd rather have you be able to go and enjoy this. But you made this decision and now I have to be the parent. And that sucks.
Well, they have to realize that there's going to be hard times, difficulties, things that you can't control.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those problems and we baby you all the way up until you get to college, then something happens, like a teacher gives you a bad grade.
Right.
Or life is unfair. Yeah. Bad things are going to happen to you that you don't deserve.
Sure.
But sometimes if you've never dealt with anything and had to like self-regulate through that is going to destroy you, or it's going to make your life so much harder. And I feel like it's like the homework argument. Kids shouldn't have homework. Well, okay, I get that.
Sure.
There might be too much, but at the same time, at what point do they have to start realizing that working on things and doing things they don't want to do is part of life? And part of it is not just doing the work for retaining it, but also you have to do shit you don't want to do forever.
Always.
So you need to start learning in second grade that you got to do this one piece of paper and you got to manage your time, or else by the time you do have to do things you don't want to do, it's going to be traumatic, a big T, instead of traumatic, a small T. And so little things need to happen. And I always think like, I want you to have some stories to tell people. Like, what are you going to say on the podcast you go on?
That's right.
And how are you going to deal with your life if you've never dealt with anything as a kid growing up? I'm not saying bad things. I'm just saying kids need to deal with hardships. That's how they deal with hardships when they get older. And they have to see you deal with hardships and you get through them on the other side. You can't hide everything and pretend like everything's fine. Sometimes they need to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and watch the makeup, the buildup, the change in you from that, right? Like, I think you don't want to screw them up on purpose, but screwing them up, having them deal with stress a little bit here and there and deal with figuring out is good.
Well, I think also the things when here's what I've started to notice. It's like if they made a choice and we hold them to account for it, that's hard. But at least they know, oh, I chose this and this is the outcome that I'm having to feel this pain because of the choice I made. There will be so many times in their life when they actually didn't do anything wrong and they have to feel the pain. So if we don't even let them feel the uncomfortable, and I would say most of the time it's more discomfort than pain.
You're exactly right.
It's more discomfort. Like you not getting to go do something because of the choice you made. Is uncomfortable, and that might be a little painful, but I'm not causing you major hurt here. But I'm also holding you to account. There's going to be so many more unfair times in life where you actually did nothing wrong and you are having to pay a price for that. And that is even more frustrating if you've never actually had the experience of feeling pain, discomfort from things you have done. Because man, when you're living as an adult in a work environment and you're like, this is unfair. I am being punished, or I am being held to account for something I had no influence in. And then that's even more difficult.
Yes.
So it's like we've got to build them up to be able to have, like you're saying, that the resistance and the ability to know how to handle it, how to process through it, what to do in a way that is not completely unhealthy. And, I mean, I've offered my sons, we got my ex-husband and I, we got divorced. And so I'm like, do you guys want to talk to anybody? I talked to, a therapist and work through different things, not constantly, but, it's interesting because I did say to my son the other day, I'm back in therapy. He's like, why? I said, because I fluctuate, and he's like, well, what's going on? And I'm like, well, my youngest is getting ready to graduate high school. I know it was really hard for me when when you left. And so, are now in college. And so I realized I'm probably having a little bit of feelings about that. And I want to talk them through because now my youngest is about, he's in his senior year and I am feeling myself have some feelings.
Oh,
I
bet.
I want to work through it.
Oh,
I want to
bet.
work through it. So before so I just know that's coming. And just because I've already done it once doesn't mean I'm going to be able these are different
this is the last one.
experiences. Yeah.
That's even more traumatic.
I know. So I'm like, I just need a little tune up and, processing through it. And my oldest was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, and I'm not a person, my personality type, I don't need therapy all the time. Mm-hmm. I am a person that I can recognize, I can feel that I'm having some energy around this and some angst or some feeling of like, oh my gosh, what, confusion, sadness, or whatever. And then I'm like, I think I need to have that touchstone, in therapy again.
It just gives you tools to cope.
Tools
to cope is a great way. And
Yep.
somebody to talk to that has no reason to give you yeses
No.
or no's, who has no affiliation with what's going on.
Right.
And is a blessing in my mind,
I think
especially
so.
for things like this. Now, let's circle back. You're a woman. You have an amazing business.
Yeah.
And I always find it, the reason I wanted to know a little bit about your growing up, because I'm always interested, like when women are entrepreneurs and they own their own business, I'm always interested in how, that's not always the easiest path for women, especially women with children. So it's interesting to me, like how you got there and hearing about your family and the way that you were raised and both your parents worked makes sense. So tell me a little bit about, you are an excellent sales trainer. And I know that because you have worked with me and my team. So how did this start? Like, when did you realize, oh, I've got this? Like, tell me a little bit about your early career and how this all happened that you went out on your own.
This is kind of a funny story because this, I feel like, and I think this will resonate with you too. I think some things in life you feel like you choose and some things choose you. Mm. And this chose me. Okay. So so I have a sales training company called M3 Learning. I did not start this company. So I'll tell you how I came about this company because it is really interesting. I had always been in sales and have had different sales experiences. I did insurance. I owned my own business for a while, a retail store for pregnant moms. I've always had a sales background. And then I got into software selling. And when I got into tech sales as a sales rep, I met the sales trainer. His name was Skip Miller, and he was the owner of M3 Learning. And I met him as a sales rep in one of the companies, and it was in 2011. So I met him there. And I had owned my own business and done some different things, had been pretty successful. I was doing okay as a sales rep. But when he came in, I really locked into, this methodology will work for me. And it really unlocked for me. And I started really seeing more momentum in even my sales conversations. Well, I got to know Skip pretty well. And then really quickly moved up in that company. I went from being a sales rep to 4 years later, I was running the sales organization. Had no desire to do that. Mm-hmm. None. Like if somebody had said to me, do you want to be a VP of sales? No, not ever. No. Because
of the people or because of the why?
I just am, it's an interesting thing. I just never was like, oh, I want that job. I want to be an executive. I always know and always knew I was great. I'm very good at leading, and I'm very, I have an executive presence, and I can be strategic and also very execution focused. I know that about myself, but I've never been one of those types of people that said, I want to be the CEO. It just doesn't occur to me. I'm always like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I'm doing the next thing. So anyway, I start running the sales working with Skip a lot because he was still coming in. So I got to know him very well. Then when I decided I was going to move to a different company, I called him and I said like, hey, I'm going to come to this company. They're going to need you too. And he said, great. I already know that company. So then I moved to that company, brought Skip along. And we needed to get up and to the right. And I said to the team, this is the new methodology we're using. And they really pushed back on me. And they were hesitant. They didn't want to do it. And this is why I understand what it's like to can put a methodology into an organization, have it be pushed almost every time they push back. And then I understand that because I've had to do that myself. So when that happened, he stuck with me. And then when I started a startup, I actually did a startup not long after that, teaching people how to become salespeople. I needed a methodology. And so I called Skip and said, hey, I want to put your methodology into this. And he's like, you got it. And so Skip was a dynamic personality and really mentored me. He strong personality, and wrote books, did all this stuff for 30 years. So in 2023, so not that long ago, he and I had multiple conversations, and he let me know that he had cancer. And so he's like, but things are going fine, we're doing lots of trials, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. December of 23, he called me and said, I'm not going to get better. And at that point, I had actually called him I had called and left him a voicemail. I'm like, hey, I'm going to, I've done Aspireship, the startup, for 4 years. I'm going to just take a break. I think I'm going to do some consulting. So I had called to leave him a message that I was going to do that. And then he called me back and told me he was not well. And he said, listen, I have taken care of my legacy with my family. My kids are good. My wife is good. But my business isn't, and that is my legacy, Christine. And he said, will you take it? And I was like, wow, what? And he said, I already have it thought of. I actually already talked to my buddy who's a broker. I know you don't have money to just pay for this business. I'm like, no, I hadn't thought of, this came out of nowhere for me. He's like, but it didn't come out of nowhere for him. So I guess he'd been talking about this for a while with like his wife, and who I did not know. And he has a son and 2 daughters. I knew one of his daughters because I helped her get a job through Aspireship, but I did not know his other 2 kids. And so that conversation happened middle of December of 23. He died 10 days later. So
did you have it worked out?
No, I did not have it worked out.
But they knew his intentions.
They knew his intentions.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
And it was, but it was so shocking and surprising because
I'm trying to turn my watch off. Keep going. I don't want it to go off anymore.
No, it's okay.
Keep going. Okay.
It was absolutely shocking because it happened so fast between that conversation and when he passed away. Yeah. And because we hadn't figured out with the value of the company. I didn't know. And so he said, I've already worked it out where you can, pay over years and do different things. And but I didn't know anything. And so I called his wife. I sent an email to his wife and son and said, listen, just name me interim president for now. I don't know what needs to happen, but I will make sure that if it's not me, we'll find somebody that it is.
Did he have employees?
He had a bunch of people that worked with him on contract basis. So thankfully he did not have.
They're like 1099.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. And so I talked to them and just said listen, I will step in however I can help. And so beginning of January, they said, we've lost Skip, and 30 years in this business, he's very well known. He's trained hundreds of thousands of people, and Stripe, Google, Tableau, Salesforce. You're talking very big companies knew of him. So so I just said, I will step in as the interim and figure out diligence wise if like, what do we do? Yeah. And his family they were wonderful. They were like, we're here, Christine. What can we do to help? And so really it took that time from about January to March to understand the business, understand at the height, what did it do, and one thing I did say to him before he passed is like, does this work without you? I said, you are the face of this business and have been for 30 years. You wrote all these books. Like, does this even work without you? And he said, I don't know.
I think obviously it does.
And he didn't know either.
Yep.
And he said, and this is the kind of personality he was, you would have loved him. He said, look, I got to think, the Challenger dude, Sandler dude, all the other dudes have all died and their methodologies still live on. And he said, because they work, and he said, so I have to think it can work. And I was like, why are you asking me? And he said, Christine, you're feisty and you have done it. And he's like, and you will sell to people that are like you, and you will be able to do it because you've done it successfully over and over. And also you're not afraid to get in people's faces when it's like, and that's he was very like that, very
he knew that he was what was going to work, and he stood by what he believed in.
Yeah. And he said, my hope is that if people liked me, they'll like you. And so I tried to just believe that he had a sense of it. He's known many people, and I felt really honored, just so honored, so sad, but also so honored that he thought, he thought about me like that. And so really I've only had this business since March of 24. And there was one other gentleman who did training too. So he helped me I watched him do a couple of trainings, and I started changing things and productizing it a little bit more. And so it's been a really wild journey I felt like it chose me. And then I just kept saying, what's the next thing? And I'll just take the next step. If I look too far, I remember just a feeling of it being so daunting that if I looked too far out, it was making me feel uncomfortable. So it was like, I don't know. I'll just do the next thing. Mm-hmm. And I just kept saying yes to the next thing and knowing that I would know when I got there. And then the first client, you'll appreciate this, I got a referral from someone and it was a type of company he had never done before. He'd mostly done tech and software. And there was no reason why other than that just kind of became his area.
Yeah, and, referral.
And he lived in San Jose, so it was very tech heavy. But the first company I got a referral to was a logistics company, very large company, and it was like 75 people. So it was a huge, and I kept thinking, this is way too big for the first one. I don't want to do this. And in the back of my mind, I just kept hearing him. He would have said, say yes and then figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can figure it out. Say yes, then figure it out. And so I said yes, and then we figured it out. Mm-hmm. And and then I had to sell the deal.
It's the way you got to do.
Yeah. And so it's been such an interesting journey because all of the culmination of all my sales and the sales leadership and the different things have really brought me to this very unique spot where I feel very much like I am in the right spot right now in my life to be able to help other people that are like me, the other leaders that are like, oh, I'm frustrated with my teams or I can't get this quite right. And we're great, but we need to be better. And how do we do that? And so I feel like I could really speak to that because I do know it. And I know it really, really well because I've had to live it. And then, so it's been a pretty wild last, year and a half.
So now I have a couple questions I want to ask, but do you now look at the future? Are you setting goals for yourself for the company now? And do you want to grow more? What is your because with Skip and everything, he had it all here. Is that, you don't want to do that, or what's your plan?
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think where he was challenged was he became it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to have that same experience where it's only me, so really it is about, I'm going to find a few people who also who I can support with the business, essentially giving them a very good product that works, a methodology, a product. These are the things that worked, that work. And then also my business can support it, meaning I've got all the infrastructure in place. I can take care of invoicing. I can take care of all of those things. I just need to find a few people that also want to do sales training, that want to use this methodology and use M3 Learning for the vehicle to do it, and then be able to have a few more people that can offer it as well. So it's not just me that has to do everything, because I think Skip became the face of it, and that is what I am very cognizant of. I don't want to be the blocker for this business to grow. I also think, and he believed, he said to me, Christine, I've created a really good lifestyle business for myself that I love, where I haven't taken money from anybody. There's been, I have created a business that I love. And so when people will push me and be like, okay, how are you going to scale this company? I'm really resistant to it. I don't know that scale is right for this. I want
Scale is right for this. I'm just going to, that's it.
Well,
but I have ideas for you to make, I think what you have is so amazing. And I think the way that you have it is for the way that who you're targeting is fantastic. But I think that the way society is changing, that you could pivot in a direction that you could work less, make more, take what you know, and help a different demographic of business people.
And I love that. Because see, that's the heart of my world, comes from like a small business side, an entrepreneurial side. And so that has always been something that was very meaningful to me. I mean, working in both insurance and owning a retail store, I have a love and a respect and truly just admiration for the entrepreneur. And so, yes, I think there is a place where we can scale differently.
Yes.
I think that's the thing, is it's not go try to get bigger this, bigger that, and do all the, you don't
want to work more.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is, I will work.
Yeah.
And I love the work, but I don't have aspirations to be, someone who is like a motivational speaker and does it.
It's not an ego thing.
No. What I'm interested in is I want your business to get better. I want your people to get off the phone after a sales conversation and be like, I used 3 new things and she cracked it right open and it worked. We had such a meaningful conversation and we are going to be able to do business together. And it's not an uncomfortable thing. It's a win-win. And that's where I start to see, and I get very energized by the work of where people use these tools and then it shifts and they really see, I'm better. I mean, I now have reps that even were with me on the floor when I was back in 2011 that are running whole organizations because they learned how to have these conversations and then they used them over and over and over. And then they taught their teams. They taught their teams to do it. And then all of those things. And you look at these massive companies, I get most of my leads from people who were sales reps, Skip taught 30 years ago, and now they're, in this 30 years, I'll say, and now they're leading organizations, and they're like, Christine, I got to have you come teach proactive selling.
It's beautiful to have you come in. Like, you can teach this, and maybe the sales director could teach it to the sales team or the vice president of sales. But what I think is awesome about what you do is my dad always says the person on the other end of the phone is the expert.
Yep.
So whoever that we decide, and when an expert comes in, it's like when dad says to do something, but when mom says it, or vice versa, then you listen, right?
Yeah.
Like, you need that other person to reinforce strategy when the same person's telling you over and over again. And I think that that's what was so great here. Is I found that I did a lot of the same stuff that you do when I was selling, because it felt natural to me to do those things, not because I knew what to do. My idea was, I'm just going to talk to this person and try to help them. And then I'm going to follow up and I'm going to try to make them my friend. And I'm going to try to actually give them a result, whether that's my product or not. And I felt like you were teaching that in a way, but when I was trying to teach it and they heard my voice, It was not.
Totally. We
They were
all
like,
have it.
we
Yeah.
know, Alane, right? Like, I didn't know how to make the structure. When you came in with this amazing structure and we're like, yeah, but what you're arguing with me about this, and I'm going to tell you that these are the results, and this is the numbers, and this is why. It was so refreshing for me because it was somebody else with a strategy, and the way you teach it is so well executed and so easy for them to reference back to.
Yeah, and it really crystallizes it down to, okay, this is this is the tool to help solve that problem. So it's sometimes you are such a natural. And so you are just one of those people that is a natural salesperson. You're naturally curious. You ask a lot of questions and you can quickly connect the dots. And the thing about that is, and why it's challenging, is because it is what I would call your native genius. And whenever something is our native genius, it's extremely difficult to teach.
Extremely.
Because
I'm like, just do what I'm telling you to do already.
Yeah.
Like, call them, ask them all these questions, figure out what they need, and then solve their problem. Like, why is it so difficult?
So difficult because it's your native genius. And so whenever I have found that I'm watching somebody, I'm like, my gosh, they are amazing at this. Then I'm like, can you explain how you just did that? They are looking at me like deer in the headlights, like,
You mean talk on the phone? What are you talking about?
I don't know how I did that because it's so natural. And so it does happen where you have someone else come in, and it would happen all the time with me as a sales leader. I'd be like, we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to listen to your calls. And then Skip would come in and he would say the same thing. And he would say it in a way that was, I'm like, okay. All right. They can hear it from him differently. And he's saying, no, I'm going to crystallize it to where it's this big. And then we're going to practice that right there.
Little bits at a time.
Little bit. And then now use that tool. And he created those tools. And so it felt less big. It felt like less of a big, meaty conversation and more like these are just little conversations and tools that we're using to help not push people, but to pull them along so they understand, because they really do want to make a decision. They are trying to better their lives. They don't know how.
Yeah.
If they have a problem called, I have a business with a great product, but I can't get out there, or my team's not doing it well enough, or I've got pain, actual literal pain, and I need to solve it. There are a million ways to solve that problem. You just have one of them. And so what the point that we try to make is if we understand how everybody makes a decision on buying something and we know what's going to be coming, then we can help with that. And it's okay for them to say no. Just, you said this a million times. If it's not,
no is the best answer. If you can't get a yes, no is the second best answer.
That's right.
So I don't sit there and keep calling you.
You're right. And that's the point, is we want to get them to yes or no.
Yeah.
That's it. And so it is, we are doing this together. It is a conversation.
But sales feels gross. Like when I talk to people and they're like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to go into this business because I'm not a salesperson. Or I'm not going to do this because I don't do sales. And I'm like, neither do I. I was a television producer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what I found was I loved the product and I believed in it so viscerally, inside of me, that it could help people.
Yeah.
That I realized that it became very natural for me to just say, is this going to work for them? So I would ask all the questions to just figure, can I help them with this product? And then I realized, oh, I guess I am selling. But to me, it felt like somebody thinks this may help them, and all I'm doing is navigating with them to see if it will. And then I just have to remember to follow up and make sure that I get the machine to them so they can actually get better.
Yeah.
Or tell them, man, this isn't going to work for you. You have a pacemaker.
Yep.
You have all these things going against you. I would recommend trying this. And I was referring other products to them. And then I started just selling those, because those people were like, hey, by the way, you keep referring people to us. We keep hearing your name. Why are you sending them to me? And I'm like, well, because my product doesn't work, but I believe in yours too.
Yeah.
My product doesn't work in this instance for that person, so I believe in yours. So that's how we would naturally bring on other products to sell. But I feel like it's more about just being authentic.
Yeah.
You can't sell something that you don't believe in. But I think a lot of women, especially, because we're empathetic beings, will come in and be like, I can't do it because I'm not a sleazy salesman. And I think to myself, wow, but you do love this product, right? Yeah, but I don't want to sell it. I don't want to sell. How do you get past that?
I think that is I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I think that selling has such a bad, it leaves just such a bitter taste in people's mouths when they've had a bad experience. And most of us, the problem is most of us have had multiple bad experiences, not one. We've had many, many, many. And as soon as it starts to show up again, we're like, there it is again. We're looking for it to be true, right? That it's going to be a bad experience because we've had them. And I think that one of the things you can't convince anybody that you're not a sleazy salesperson. I feel like sales is a very noble profession, actually. Yeah. And if you're doing it the right way, which I hope that as we do more work in the world like this, that it starts to shift that feeling. Like I think about this all the time with how, everything is moving toward AI. And people always say to me, are salespeople going to be replaced by AI? And I'm like, as much as people are hesitant to buy from salespeople because of their sleazy or they're trying to, sell you something you don't need or anything, people are still very, very skeptical and do not want to buy from AI either.
I don't want to talk to a robot about anything that I don't like bots. I mean, even on our website, we have real people.
Yeah.
Our chat is a person.
Yep.
And everybody's like, that's crazy that you're paying for people to answer these things. You should have a bot. I think a bot could be on the other end after they've already educated and inspired and they already have my product.
Sure.
And it can help them search to get information they need. But to talk, when you are you're in a vulnerable position, when I feel like society really is dying for human connection and to talk to people. And I think that's very powerful. But I know a lot of women right now who are not taking a step, not quitting their job, not starting a job, not getting out of their comfort zone because they don't want to sell. Like they are not taking a product they love and promoting it because they don't want to sell.
Okay. Here's what I would say to them. They're selling all the time. They just don't know they are. Like my ex-husband is a cop and he would say all the time to me, he'd be like, I could never do sales. I would never want to do sales. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, everybody's selling all the time. And and I said to him one day, you are selling all the time. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, people do not understand that we are always trying to create win-wins out of a situation that we are in through communication. I'm like, when you show up on a scene and it's a husband and wife fighting, nobody has done anything. Nobody is like there, but they're in a complete, and now you are turning into a cop who's now trying to be a therapist, which you don't want to do. What are you trying to do? He's like, I'm trying to get them to stop, get one of them to leave. So so they are in a safe environment and I can be done with this call. So
he's selling his solution.
Yeah. I'm like, there's a problem and you are trying to get to the solution that is going to be good for them, good for you, called nobody hurt each other. They're just arguing, but I can't leave because the neighbor called because they're in the front yard fighting. And I'm like, you are selling. You know what you're doing? You're saying, hey, you guys are too frustrated. One of you needs to leave. You can't come back. This is like a problem. You are actually selling the solution called there's a lot of ways we can do this, but I'm going to offer you one that's going to hopefully be, we can put this to bed. You guys are in a good situation. And he kind of looked at me. I'm like, you're doing it all the time.
Because he's asking them the questions, like the questions that you give for discovery. He's asking them the questions and he's saying, these are the questions. Here's our problem. If you do this, here's my solution to that. You need to buy in. And he's convincing them that it's the best solution for them.
I think moms are some of the best salespeople I've ever
1,000%.
seen. Because you sit there and you go to a lunch with a bunch of women. By the time you leave that lunch, let's say there's 4 or 5 of you, you have all heard of 1 or 2 more products that you're probably going to buy. You have all gotten information on a new tool that your kid's using that this is helping them to do this. And oh my gosh, she told me that. And we're really seeing a difference. And probably some sort of, health thing. Yep. Everybody's got a new vitamin they're going to try or not because anybody's selling anything. None of them are actually representing any of those companies very likely.
They should be.
They could easily. But when you leave lunch with your girlfriends, you probably have 3 or 4 more things that you're going to go buy. Not because of the way they talked about it. So the thing about it is then what happens is the girlfriends get nervous, like, I don't want to rep this company because then I'm going to go to lunch and then everybody's going to think I'm trying to sell them on this thing.
Yeah, the Mary Kay debacle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Mary Kay, the network marketing, all this different stuff. And so I think the thing is first understand that we're all selling. And because we're trying to, with language, words, and communication, we are trying to come up with a win-win in a lot of scenarios because we're all problem solvers. That's what we're trying to do. And so if you can come at it from a place of, I'm already doing this, I didn't realize it, and become a better observer of yourself. Notice how many times during the day, during your conversations, when you are in a business, I had a conversation with an accountant the other day. He's like, oh, I can never do sales. I'm like, you do sales all the time. He's like, how? What do you mean? I'm like, when you roll out a budget and then every leader comes to you and wants more money and they're doing this and you're like, okay, let me come back to you and let's talk through. They're selling you, you're selling them on why this initiative is more important than that. And that's why we need to invest here. But if we do this and okay, I could be convinced of this, and then could I convince you of this? And, could we work together and influence some of the decisions that we're each making? And then you go up to the board and you go ask for more money and you're doing this. And I'm like, you're always selling.
Well, I think what's interesting is we are always, as women, first of all, sorry to the men, but we're smarter. And I believe it. I think women's brains are made to survive a more mental situation because we were meant to have children, lots of different things going on, being around, and we are naturally passionate about things that solve our problems. So, like, if you find something like a product that works for you, your family,
share.
You want to tell every other woman that has these same problems. And I think that that's where we're missing just, hey, if you were to just send them the link or do something, or if you are tremendously passionate about something and you're already doing it, there's a way that you could bring revenue back to your family. And it doesn't have to be gross. And it doesn't have to be sleazy. And it doesn't have to feel that way.
No.
You are honestly, if you go into it like that, It's beautiful. And I think your system is amazing. And there's a great way for you to scale.
Yeah.
But we could talk about that later because I have all the ideas. But I also think that one of the hardest parts for me as a business has been people, like hiring employees. I'll never forget, like, my mom and dad were like dead set we were not going to hire anybody when I first started working for them.
Okay.
My mom was like, no employees. And then I got shingles, met Push. And I was this close to like nervous breakdown in my late 20s. Like, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
And they were drowning. And so they did agree after meeting with Push in Arizona to hire somebody. And then it grew from there, and then they couldn't stop me, like, here we go.
Yeah.
But what I found is managing everybody's expectations. And I think women as leaders, and I'm bringing this up very specifically because it's happened to me several times, you become very close with the people that you work with. You care about them. You love them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just for a season, and that's okay. But sometimes things happen where they leave, and it feels like a betrayal. And I want to hear from you. How has that happened? And how has that made you feel? Like, because I know that this happened to a friend of mine, and she was like ready to quit.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, I'm done. Like, I'm struggling with trusting new people to hire. I'm struggling with everything. Like, and I had to walk her through, like, this is what's going to happen because you're going to get screwed, right? Like, sometimes people have to do what's best for them and they don't handle it the best way. And then sometimes they do something that is so diabolical that you're like, wow, this is shaking me to my core on if I'm even a good judge of character.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is very difficult to get through. So how has that been for you with managing the people part of your business?
So I think there's a couple of different things. Through my time of being in different organizations with different people, one of the things I was saying just a little earlier to Marissa is I said, when you get into a larger organization,
she's not getting into a larger organization.
Yeah. Well, and I just said, all you end up doing is managing the people. Literally, I'm trying to be a VP of sales, and with 200 people, all I'm dealing with is HR. It's every day.
Yeah.
Because with that many people are going to people. Mm-hmm. And that means they're going to do things.
And they're in their own orbit of everything is such a huge, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with all their crises.
And so as you deal with more people, that becomes the challenge. And so one of the things that Skip had said is he's like, I don't really want to have a big company with a lot of people because he loves the work and he wanted to do the work and he didn't want to manage people all the time. Well, I like people and I like managing people. I do it pretty well. But at scale, when you start getting to a lot of people, that was when I started feeling like, oh my gosh, literally if HR has to come into my office and talk to me more than 3 times a week and it was happening all the time, this is becoming, I don't like this. This is truly taking away from my joy and work. And I do think because we are empathetic and I think some people more than others too, I am a very capable, I can be very direct. And also I am such that, I have fired many, many people. In fact, you probably don't know anybody that's fired more people than me.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Because I've had.
That's like my worst nightmare.
Yeah. So because I've had sales organizations where if you're not hitting quota and you're not doing things over a certain amount of time, like that's going to be what happened. Now, here's the way that I think about that is probably different than most. And I don't make it bad or good. And I don't make it right or wrong. I just make it working, not working. And so the reframe for me has always been, and the reason why I have fired people at one company and they have come and worked for me at a different. So like we still maintain relationship. There's only a few people that I have parted ways with that I have no interest or no relationship with at all because of how it went. But almost everyone else, I would say, I have a good relationship with and I would work with again and they would work with me again. Because just because it doesn't work here does not mean it won't work anywhere else. And so when I tell someone, listen, the expectations are this is not, this is not being met, or your behavior here won't work in this environment, or whatever is going on, I use that working, not working. It's not working here. And it's not working for you, I can tell. Because really, when it's not working for the business, it's never working for them either. They will pretend it is. It's not. They are stressed. They are strained. There's a lot going on, especially if there's expectations that they're not meeting in their job. They know it. They're feeling stress as well. So number one, making sure it's not a surprise. So we're talking about it all the time. We're getting to that point. And then really having a very straightforward conversation around it's not working and we're going to move past this and we're going to cut ties. And having a conversation like that is less emotional, I think is helpful. Also, I will say this, every single time I've ever parted ways with someone, I can't sleep for about 3 days before. I have a stomach ache. I'm upset. And I've had to have layoffs. I've had to have, so I'm talking about like one person or I'm laying off 25 people today.
And layoffs are, when you have to like restructure or do a layoff, it's not something that they know about. Sometimes it's not something that you like, this is performance based.
No.
It's more about this isn't working right now. And those are, I think, the worst.
Hard. Very, very hard.
But what about, have you ever had them leave?
Oh yeah, gosh. Okay. So I've had some very, I would say, wrenching experiences over the last few years where, I was super surprised when someone I put a lot of time, energy into, and they decided to leave. And it is a very, it does really shake you. I mean, I can think of 2 situations, one more recently than others, but one was years ago. She was my number one, like my mentee. Like I had mentored her for 2 years and literally had gone to breakfast the 2 days before and then got a note that she said I had created a hostile work environment for her and she needed to move to another department.
Did you ever talk to her about what was so hostile?
I'm like,
what?
Oh, what? She had come camping with my family, this. So that was a absolute shock. And it went on for many months.
But do you see that expectation of like that we are expected, I think as leadership, you're expected to let them know that things aren't going well, what yada yada. But then it's not always reciprocated on the other side where it's like, if you want to go or if you're leaving or if you're unhappy, it'd be great if you gave me some heads up or we talked about it because that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I think what's not okay in either situation is to be like, screw you, bye. Like, I think that's where it becomes like, wow, you don't want me to do that to you. So why don't you just give me the decency of saying, I'm not happy here or I need different, I don't care. I would rather that and know that you are giving me the respect of just the time to figure it out and like help me figure out a problem than to just say, because that's what hurts. That hurts.
It did. And, the thing about it is when I like looked back on that, I actually was so heartbroken. It actually really broke my heart because this is someone I deeply loved, deeply like admired and was putting a lot of time and energy into. And she was a lot like me. And so I really saw myself in her. I will say I did get kind of closure with that. And to her credit, so once all this stuff happened, I really distanced myself, and then she actually got another company outside of the state, and so she asked to meet with me, and it was about a year later, and to meet with me for coffee, and I did not want to because of all of that, that had gone on, because I did not understand what was going on, and to her credit, she came to coffee and apologized. And she said, I didn't know this was going on, but she was getting ready to get divorced. There was a whole bit, her husband also worked there. And so she thought I had kind of favored him but I didn't know any of this, so
her vision of what was going on was much different than what you didn't see it and she saw.
I didn't. I had no idea. And so she actually apologized and she said, I am so sorry. I actually was trying to hurt you and ruin your career. And I am sorry. I am so sorry that I did that. I now can look back and see that I was just in my own like emotional state. And so that at least gave me an understanding of why it because
very big of her to realize that and come back and say something.
I think so. I think so too. And also, I said, I have no interest in becoming close to you again, but I really do appreciate you telling me that. Yeah. And thank you, because it never made sense for me. And here's the thing that really I became aware of with that is people are going to do what makes sense to them.
Yep.
And I don't know what lens she's looking through. And I had truly no idea what was going on or what she was seeing as, me possibly choosing to side with her, soon to be ex-husband. I had no idea that was even going on. And so, so there really wasn't, but I did really respect the fact that she came back after and gave me some understanding. Because for that whole time, I was still scratching my head like, I have no idea what happened. And I think that those heartbreaks, I think we just got to know those are going to happen. There are going to be surprises, and there are going to be times when we have really invested. More recently, I've spent a lot of time I had spent a lot of time investing in someone that was working with me, and loved the relationship, loved everything that we were doing. Had spent a lot as far as moving toward what I believe to be a really important piece of the business, which is, doing more training and doing more things. And then actually had a client hire this person kind of out from under me. And, to be fair, the client did call me and ask me if that was possible, if they could talk. And, but that's a very,
I'm enjoying this. Keep going.
Yeah, because it's not. Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh,
give me the tea.
Yeah, the tea. But it really did sting still.
Yep.
Because here's the thing that I think is interesting. I think we look at ourselves and go, I would never even approach that conversation with someone, like as CEO to CEO. To even ask, could I have this conversation with your employee or with any. Is something I never would do. It wouldn't have even been on my radar to think I could talk to this person or even ask about it, And so I think sometimes the way that we see business or the way that we see the world or that my definition of integrous business might be different than yours. And I look at myself and think, should I have said, no, it's not appropriate for you to talk to that individual about a role. But also, if that is an option or an opportunity, I did not want to stand in the way either.
So did you go to your employee and say, they're going to talk to you?
Mm-hmm.
And you can make that decision?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that goes better than, it would be much worse if your employee had been talking to them
100%.
And nobody told you anything and then was
100%. Still stung because that employee was like, oh, no, not interested, super locked in here and really excited. And then it was like, oh, they made a really good, this looks like it could be very helpful for my family, all this other stuff. And when you care about people, you want what's best for them too.
Absolutely.
So you want what's best for them too. And so, wish everybody well and move on. Does it still sting? Yes. Is it something that I think is important for me to remember that people are going to do what makes sense to them? And that really, I looked at it and look at myself. Same with the situation prior with the other woman that worked with me is there anything that I need to change about how I'm doing business? And, of course, my attorney is like, well, we need to put into your contract that people can't be poached. And I'm like, but do I? Do I really? Because at that, yes, I can put that in the contract. My people should not be poached. But really, if that's the intention, if that's what's going on for people, I don't want to lock somebody in or make someone feel like they can't do what needs to be done for them.
No, you don't, but you also do need to do what your attorney said. In a way, I think the good thing would be is to put in there, hey, we don't want you to go to other people, but if you do, we need some sort of notice. Like, hey, let's have a conversation because it could have gone really badly for you where not only you lost the client, but this person who you thought was your friend screws you and leaves, and one day you had no idea. Like, they handled it so well. Like, you need to just make sure that precedent is kept.
Well,
so, like, if there's a conversation that you want to leave and go to a client, that there is some sort of, hey, you need to do this in order to exit.
Well, I think what I'm actually going to do is say, if that were to happen, you will pay me a recruiting fee.
That's what I was going to say.
You will pay me a fee, essentially, for finding your leader.
Yeah.
So, which would be...
So you don't lose the client and the employee.
Yeah, which will keep the client, and also you're going to pay me for just, you would pay an executive recruiter to find a new leader for you. So I would take a fee. Yeah. For that. And I think that would probably be, would that take the sting away? No. Would it also, though, give me some compensation for the investment that I've made in people? I think it might. So I feel like there's something there. But I always look back at, like, of course, I showed up in every one of those situations. And I'm sure there are ways that I could have shown up better or differently. And I kind of look back at that and think, what would I have done differently, or what could I do differently next time? Or what are the signals or signs that I might have missed that that I just didn't see that could show me. And I'm not operating in a place of fear. And now I don't want to get to that either, because I've seen many leaders, very successful leaders, that don't trust anyone.
Right.
And, I really like trusting people. Like, I remember one of my dear friends, she is an extremely strong executive leader. And she said to me, I think on any given day, Christine, when I'm leading people, if somebody were walking around and recording me 24/7 with a little recorder, about 20% of the time, I probably could get fired, get sued, or whatever for the things that I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She's like, probably about 20% of the time. And she said, but you know what? I don't want to change that about me. And because I trust the people that I'm around. And if I walk around fearful all the time and trying to be careful every second not to say anything wrong or be perfect, I'm going to be so stunted that I'm not going to be able to actually be what is uniquely me.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, yes.
Yeah.
Second of all, like, I feel that in my soul, because there's so many times where it's like, well, you need to do this, this, and this, and act this, and this way. This is how you run a business. And there's so many times where I did try. I was like, I'm going to fit in the box. But then I realized, like, this isn't working. It's not helping
No.
anybody else. And
No.
at the end of the day, like, doing that ends up hurting everything around you. If you don't have to do things exactly the way that everyone else does them. You don't have to fall within every single box correctly.
I think that's
especially as a leader, the more authentic you are, the more authentic the people around you are going to be. And that means even being vulnerable and saying, this is not working for me, or struggling. And that is actually what I feel what makes people respect you more and do things, because you are open and honest about how much you can handle or what you could do. You're not a robot, right?
Yeah. And being okay with saying, I didn't handle that well yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the moment, I'm very passionate, and I've worked a lot on this over the years, but man, I can go a while and then I get very hot very fast. So when especially in environments where I'm in a company as a VP of sales, or as a, and someone is saying something that is really setting me off, I have been able to kind of take a look at myself and go like, yeah, you didn't handle that very well, where I immediately can feel my eyes narrow, and I'm like, I am combative with you, and I can feel myself doing that. And there are some, I have worked on not doing.
Which is a struggle for women, because you're a bitch if you say anything.
Right.
Where if a man were to say the exact same thing, again, sorry men, but if you were to say the same thing, they're strong and opinionated.
Yeah. And very few men. I will say this. I believe that people follow and love the people that they work for when they can see that they are flawed, and then will make it right. And there have been times when I have said, to my leadership team. I remember one time I did this interview, and we were interviewing this for a sales role. As soon as I met this woman, I did not feel like she was a salesperson. And I was with, it was me, and then it was a bunch of my managers and one of the directors of sales. And I was at the time, VP of sales. And so ultimately I was the heavy in the room. And she was saying a few things, and I kept pushing her I don't think I just don't think you're a salesperson. Like, these are, and
Did you work here?
No. And so she left, and it was so interesting. So after she left, one of the managers walked her out, come back in, he shuts the door, and they all kind of were uncomfortable for a minute. And one of them said, "Can we talk about that?" And they all looked at me and they said, "You didn't do that very well."
Wow.
And they said, you were hard on her. And then one of them, who knew me, he had worked at me in a previous company with me. He said, "That was the worst you've ever been to someone in an interview."
Wow. Did you apologize?
And I said, "You know what? You're right." And first of all, I said, "I appreciate you all calling me out on that." And I did. I actually left the interview. We had a few more to do, so I stayed, and then I left, and I went and called her, and I said, "Listen, I apologize for the way I behaved in that. I was pushing you hard because I really, for care of you, don't want you going to take a job that I don't think you're going to ultimately like." And I said, "But man, I did not do well, and my team told me that." And
you didn't get defensive.
And at first I was like, "Guys, like, this is not harder than I am on anybody else." And they said, "Yep." And they knew that they could tell me that. And we had that type of relationship. And that was not the only time they'd ever called me out on my shit.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. And I apologized not only to her, but to them. And I said, "You're right." And I hope that we can always do that, and that we are always.
And sometimes I'm going to listen. Sometimes I might disagree with you.
Well, and ultimately,
but in that instance, it was a behavior thing, and maybe you needed to see it, right? It wasn't a decision.
And we didn't hire her.
Right.
We didn't hire her.
She wasn't a good salesperson.
She wasn't. I don't believe that would have. But how I handled it wasn't
right.
well. And they were. I just really appreciated that team. Those guys, I mean, they were fantastic. Probably like my best leadership team, because they did not mind calling. We had high enough trust in the room. And also I had said, you're allowed to tell me when let's do it in a way that's not going to make me, wound up, and I'll do my best too. But man, you call me out if I'm not doing well, and I'm going to do that to you. Yeah. And so we had that, and I will tell you, you have to look back on those moments and be grateful for the people that will actually call you out and let you see and how to be better. And I've thought of that so many times. And I will tell you,
that's a skill everyone doesn't have. They don't have the ability. If you don't have the ability to self-reflect and say, oh shit, those are the worst type of people anywhere in your life.
And I've worked in a lot of very high growth, big companies. And I'm going to tell you, it is very rare to see a man apologize.
Yeah.
In leadership, I can't even think of a time.
Wow, that's true.
Where I have ever seen, and I have seen.
Well, no, I've had a man apologize before.
I have seen a lot of men in leadership really misbehave publicly. Mm-hmm. And I say misbehave like losing their shit, calling somebody out, saying hateful things, yelling, doing different stuff, and then never come back to it to say, hey guys, in that executive meeting yesterday, that was not my best. I just haven't, but I haven't seen it very much in business. And I do think that I have thought about it a lot because I will do that. And I've thought about if it makes me look weak. Mm-hmm. And I've really self-reflected on, I've never really seen this done very much by men. Should I even do this? This is in my nature to come back and circle back around and say, I did not handle that well, and I apologize for my behavior in that. I should have done better. And I have stood by. I'm going to still continue to do that because that's who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that makes me look or appear weak or strong, but I can't even think about that. I just have to focus on who I and how I want to show up, and then just, however that works or doesn't work for people, there we are.
Well, I always feel, so first of all, a couple things here. One of the things I realized is that I'm not going to fit in the box of a leader, but I did realize 3 things that were brought to my attention from people that worked with me and for me. Was that I always have to, any good leader has to control their mood, their mind, and their mouth. And I have found that I am really good at my mood and my mind. Not the mouth, okay? Just not, okay? I'm working on it. But I do think that the mood and the mind didn't come naturally because there was times where I was stressed and everybody knew. And maybe I was stressed about stuff outside of work, but they thought, oh no. There's a problem within the business.
That's right.
We're going under.
Yeah.
What's happening? Because I was stressed and they were like,
We can see,
and then I realized, my mood is so very important. Mm-hmm. And then my own mindset on how things are going. Like if you are always thinking about the negative or ruminating on what happened when people have screwed me, stolen from me, and all these terrible things, I can't let my mind go that way of everybody is like that or
That's
everything is like that. So controlling my mood and my mind became something that I focused on very hard in the last, I would say 5 or 6 years to get to a place where no matter what, I was projecting the way I wanted to be every day to the people who worked with me. And then my mouth has been something I've struggled with, but I do apologize when my mouth gets me to a place that it hurts someone's feelings. Because their feelings are valid no matter what.
Sure.
Even if that wasn't my intention to make them feel that way, I did. And I always apologize for how I made them feel. But I'm not going to apologize for what I said if it was right in the moment to be said. Now, if it wasn't right and I went too far, but if I had to say something to you for the better of the business or better of another person or for us to move forward that you needed to hear, I'll apologize for how it made you feel, but I'm not going to apologize for the fact that it needed to be said. And I think that there's a lot, knowing when to apologize is something that is very difficult for women because a lot of times we are taught to get out of the way and say you're sorry and not do anything other than make people feel comfortable. And that it can be an extremely difficult navigation for a woman. And I think for men, as a leader for men, the world is changing. There's more parents in the workforce. Yeah. We've got to become a more flexible society, specifically in America, for being, it is all about the people who work with you and for you. And really, it's the day-to-day that makes working and owning your own business great. It's not, there is no finish line for me. It's not like, I'm shooting for this. It's like, I just want to enjoy my life. And I love this. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. And I want to work with people I like and I want to move forward. I might not vibe with everybody. I have some people that work for me that it is extremely hard for me to communicate with. I'm like, my God, you are the most first. But what they do here is so valuable that then I've learned to find the way to communicate with them through other people or with another leader. And that works. Yeah. And you can't just, everything can't be my way or the highway, right? But also at the same time, there are times where I'm going to stand on the line.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really part of it. Okay. Can I play a game with you really quickly?
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna. This is the final thing, but I need to know these questions. Okay.
Okay.
So this is rapid fire questions. We're gonna play 3 things.
All right.
So you have 1 to 2 seconds to answer. No explaining.
All right.
Okay. So don't explain. All right. First app you check in the morning.
Instagram.
Go to hype song.
I would say Black Eyed Peas. What's the one? I can't even think of it. Yeah.
I got a feeling.
And I'm embarrassed to say, but that is.
Okay. Coffee order, black or fancy?
Fancy.
1 word your friends use to describe you.
Intense.
Same. Most used emoji.
The one that's like, the like.
With the little hands?
Yeah, probably that one.
Okay. Never used that one. Love that. Favorite late night snack?
Something salty. Probably chips.
Okay. Dream vacation spot?
I would love to go to see like Sicily or Italy. I have not been. I'm going there this summer. You are? Okay.
Okay. Last show you binged?
Was it Bridgerton?
Same.
Like,
how is that even possible?
I know.
I watched it on an airplane.
Oh, you did?
I did. I downloaded all of it, took a long flight.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was addicted.
Yeah.
Okay, morning person or night person?
Total morning.
Really? Okay, cool. One thing you're always late to?
The gym. I always get there a little later than I was hoping.
I'm always late.
Yeah.
I'm never there. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Hidden talent?
I can sing.
Really?
Yeah.
Sing something.
No.
Okay. We'll do that later. Guilty pleasure?
I like to always have a manic and petty. Like
That's not a guilty pleasure. Give me something else.
Okay, but I feel like maybe
That's like maintenance.
Okay, I love Stitch Fix. Have you ever done it?
Oh, is that where they send you clothes?
Love it.
Really?
I love it. Yes. Okay.
I've
we'll
always
talk
been really scared to do
So
that.
So have I. Now
But
I'm
I
like,
hate going shopping. I hate trying clothes on.
hate it. I hate it. And they are
You're just
nailing
sweating
it
in
for
there
me.
under the light, and it's a mirror, and you're like, why do I look like this? I'm so fat. This is horrible. Why
No.
am I shoving myself in these clothes?
I'm gonna have to tell you more about it. It's amazing. I'm so happy with it.
Oh,
So
send me a link. Sell me.
I will. Okay.
Okay. Biggest pet peeve.
Tardiness to meetings. Yeah.
Okay. If you were doing this, what would you be doing?
I would have my own consultancy, and I would probably doing.
So you'd be doing this?
I'd be doing fractional stuff because I'd probably jump in to a company for like 6 months, help them get settled, and then pop out. Yeah.
That's kind of what you're helping me. Okay. 1 word you overuse.
One word I overuse. I don't know. Probably the words everybody says. Like. Things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to do 1 word answers only, this or that, okay?
Okay.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Pizza or tacos?
Tacos.
Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast.
Ice cream or cookies?
Ice cream.
Spicy or mild?
Spicy.
Oh my God, I'm so white. I can only eat mild things.
I remember that.
So white. Like, it just can't happen. It's so sad. My husband's Latino. It's like, and they have the most delicious food.
I know, but
I can't. And he's like, this isn't spicy at all. I'm like, my nose is on fire. Okay. Movie or series?
Movie.
Music or podcasts?
Probably podcasts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Comedy or drama?
Drama.
Board games or video games?
Oh, board games all day.
For real.
Yeah.
Concert or sports event?
Concert.
Text or call?
Call.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Driver or DJ?
Driver or DJ?
I don't even know what that means.
What is that?
Like, okay, I don't know. We'll let that go. Sing or dance?
Sing.
That's weird. Early or late?
Early.
Clean or messy?
Very clean.
Stay in or go out?
Depends, but probably mostly stay in.
All right, I'm going to say 1 word, and you're going to respond with the first word that pops into your head.
Okay.
1 word reaction, okay? Quickly.
Okay.
Success.
Money.
Failure.
Sad.
Pressure.
Okay.
Fun.
Joy.
Creativity.
Arts and crafts, which I hate that, but that's what I think of. When I think of creativity, that's what I think of.
I mean, I will glue stick something or hot glue, but like I don't want to do it.
I don't feel like I'm really that creative, but that's what I think of. Yeah.
Yeah. Balance.
It's impossible.
Yeah. Not happening?
It's like it doesn't.
Ball, balance ball? I don't know.
I think it's timing of when
Work-life
things-
balance
yeah.
is not a thing, and anybody who says it is has never actually worked.
No, because you just have seasons where it's more work and it's more family.
Can I say something? I feel like this whole podcast is like we're hating men, but if you say that you have really great work-life balance, you have a wife.
I need a wife.
Me too. Me too. My husband is amazing though, but I think to myself sometimes like, man, like if I had a wife who like was like a house manager, like cooked and cleaned, because he's running his own business too. So it's like, and he is very much 50-50 and everything, but I don't know. A stay-at-home wife would be sweet, you know?
I think
it would
so,
be
too.
sweet. It really would. Okay, risk.
I'm into it.
Legacy.
My kids.
I love that. Thank you for coming on the Energy Exchange.
Thank you for
Do you
having
want to take
me.
some butter kuchen home?
Okay, I can't take it home on the plane, but I am going to
You're
eat
gonna
more
have
of it.
another
I'm going to eat. I'm going to finish my slice here. This is butter kuchen.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kuchen, butter kuchen. You should Google it and get one in your area to the people.
It is
to no one
definitely
watching.
worth eating. It's
good.
Delicious. I saw all these snacks. I'm like, how are we snacking and podcasting?
Well,
But
I think we should. I think
like
that
the
food is my
snacks.
favorite thing.
I think it's great. I think it was a good choice.
I like to eat.
I know, and you're so little. I don't know how.
It's my favorite. This is what I do, is eat.
You're talking to eat.
It's my happiness.
I love it.
Yeah. It's
Well, I've
every
loved
morning
it.
I wake up, first thing, it's not my kids, it's not my husband, it's not my work.
You're like-
It's what am I having for lunch? Immediately. I'm like, lunchtime.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
And we are going to do some sort of class.
We're gonna do
or
it.
something specifically with my customers.
Yeah.
To help educate them on sales. So there will be a lot more to come on that.
I love it.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.